is what people get wrong about Japan. Today, I want to talk about how dating starts in Japan. And if you've ever been confused by Japanese dating, don't worry, you're not alone. There are a lot of unspoken rules that people don't really explain. And honestly, even Japanese people don't always talk about them out loud. I actually get questions about this all the time from friends, even from people who lived in Japan for years. And every time I explain it, they say the same thing. Wow, I had no idea. And one of the biggest misunderstandings is how relationships actually begin in Japan. So let me ask you something. Have you heard of the word kokuhaku? The direct translation is love confession. It's that moment when you tell someone you like them and ask them to be your boyfriend or girlfriend. In Japan, a lot of people believe that dating only really starts after this kokuhaku happens. Before that, even if you're seeing each other regularly, it doesn't always feel like a real relationship yet. If you used to Western dating style, this might already sound a little strange. Because in many places, dating is a long process. You go out, you spend time together, and you slowly figure out how you feel. That early stage is usually seen as just getting to know someone. People might go out for lunch, dinner, or drinks, but a lot of them don't even call it a date. For example, you might be going out with someone every week. You text almost every day, you know their schedule, you know what kind of food they like. But if there hasn't been a kokuhaku yet, a lot of people would still say, oh, they're not dating. And that gap between what you feel and what it's called can be really confusing, especially if you're not Japanese. And this is really important to understand. Japan has a strong Kokuhaku culture. Now, here's where people usually get surprised. You might be wondering, okay, so when does this Kokuhaku actually happen? And this is where things get a little uncomfortable. Usually, not after that many dates, there is an unspoken expectation about timing. They expect something would happen within 3 days, maybe the fifth day at the latest. Especially for women, if nothing happens by then, it's easy to think, oh, he's probably not that serious. And when women talk about it with their friends, the advice is often pretty simple. Just move on, especially if they've already met more than 5 times. Honestly, I remember talking about this with my friends all the time. Someone would say, we've already gone out 3 times, but nothing happened, and everyone would immediately ask, so what are you gonna do? No one would say, well, maybe give it 10 more dates. It was more like, yeah, that's probably not going anywhere. Looking back, this feels really intense. But at that time, it felt completely normal. If you're hearing this for the first time, it probably sounds really fast. And honestly, yeah, it kind of is. Because when you really think about it, 3 dates isn't enough to truly know someone, right? Sometimes you don't even know whether you actually like them yet. That was really difficult when I was looking for a guy. But even so, there's this invisible timer, usually around 3 dates. So instead of slowly getting to know each other, people end up guessing. Is this going somewhere or not? It sounds stressful, right? And if you're listening to this from outside Japan, you might be thinking, why not just talk about it? That's a totally fair question. But in Japan, talking directly about feelings or intentions can feel surprisingly difficult. So instead of asking, people tend to read the situation sometimes too much. Another big reason for this pressure is marriage. In Japan, marriage is a very, very serious topic. For a lot of women, there's an expectation that a relationship should have long term potential. Sometimes that expectation is already there within the first few dates. And there's also a historical reason behind this pressure. In Japan, people used to say that a woman who reached 25 was like a Christmas cake because Christmas is on the 25th, and a cake after that date was considered hard to sell. Oh my goodness. Obviously, nobody really says that anymore. But the idea behind it, the pressure to marry young, the feeling that your value changes with age, that still exists in softer, quieter way. Many people, especially women, grow up hearing things like, you shouldn't wait too long or you'll have fewer options later. So even today, being single in your late 20s or 30s can feel a little bit uncomfortable in Japan, even if nobody says it directly. And interestingly, a lot of Japanese men are already thinking about the future before the relationship officially starts, often right around that third date. And there is something else you should know. In Japan, sleeping together before Kokuhaku is often discouraged. A lot of women think it's a bad idea. A lot of dating advice books actually say you shouldn't do that before making the relationship official. Now, before anyone listening thinks, well, that's not how my relationship worked. Let me be clear. Of course, not everyone is the same. This is just based on my research, my conversations with friends, and my own experience. For example, one of my ex boyfriends took about 20 dates before we officially started dating. He never did kokuhaku to me at all. So in the end, I did it myself. So there's no three-time rules in this situation, right? So this doesn't apply to everyone, but it is a very well known unspoken expectation in Japan. And this is why dating can feel so different depending on where you're from. If you're used to Western dating, you might go on dates, do romantic things, maybe even have a physical relationship, and still not be completely sure what you are. And you don't want to sound needy, you don't want to ruin the mood, so you tell yourself, I'll just wait a little longer. But then you wait, and suddenly you realize you're not even sure what you're waiting for anymore, right? And you always catch yourself thinking, wait, what are we? So if Japanese dating has ever confused you, you're not doing anything wrong. Next time, I want to talk about Christmas in Japan because that's another topic people often misunderstand. Thank you for listening. See you next time.